gentlemen, we are at the 4th Linux Peter Conference in St. Petersburg. My name is Vasily Tolstoy and I'm a member of the programming committee of the conference, and together with me is Monty Widenius. Hi.
Hello, nice to meet you.
The guy who's actually, he doesn't look so, but he's MariaDB in Flash.
Yeah.
So you were just a couple of minutes ago giving a talk here.
Yes.
Can you tell us in a few words what it was about?
I was talking about the new advances in MariaDB 10.3, which is our newest release, and also what we plan to do in the future, and also how MariaDB is unique in the ecosystem, how we interact with the community, and also ensuring that MariaDBs will always be open source and available for everybody for the future.
And the basic question, which we ask everyone actually, what interesting has happened in the Linux world, in the open source world, in the technical world in general, probably last year?
Looking at from an investor point of view, there's lots of what happened with Red Hat, getting to be part of IBM, having lots of synergy like Hortonworks and Caldera going together. There's lots of things happening in the open source, and actually also showing that open source has a real value. So that's kind of interesting, because the other part is from the technical part of view. I'm mostly looking forward for having persistent memory becoming a part of all computers, and also mainstream, because that will fundamentally change how databases work. Because the biggest problem from databases when you write things from performance point of view is that it takes time to get things to disk, because writing is slow. The new persistent memory basically changed that, because write doesn't take any time. So it's a fundamental shift in how database works, and that makes it exciting because we can do more for less.
Great. And I think that the persistent memory is going to affect a lot of things, not only
mostly database. So if somebody gets their machine to start a couple of times faster, you don't react to that. But if you can handle 50% more transactions with less hardware, that will change things for how data centers works and so on.
Mm-hmm. Speaking specifically about the MariaDB, I had a candid question, which you had answered at the end of your talk, actually. So it was the quick comparison between the current state of the MariaDB and the MySQL. So it was answered.
Yeah.
So I'll ask another thing. So if anybody wants to know the answer of that question, please wait and see the record of the talk.
And you also will see pictures of me, who gave the name to MySQL, and picture of Maria, who gave the name to MariaDB.
Yes. So are you happy today with how the MariaDB... Oh, let's step back. At least according to Wikipedia and the common knowledge, the idea of creating of the MariaDB was to have a definitely open source alternative to MySQL, which was bought and began to go into the corporate dark world.
Yep.
So now the MariaDB is quite a popular thing, actually. Yep. Are you happy with the state? Does it had it done its basic purpose to be a viable alternative to MySQL?
Definitely. Currently, I don't see as an alternative. I think that we have replaced MySQL a long time ago. Almost all Linux distributions has pushed out MySQL. They're using MariaDB. So we are kind of already the future, and the distributions have seen that. The problem with databases is that if something works, don't replace it. So it will take 20 years until MySQL will disappear, just because it will continue working until your operating system and your hardware is too old. Then you need to do a decision. Before that's not. But I'm really happy with the development with MariaDB. I've been able to keep the all the MySQL team together within MariaDB. We are doing great for features. We have been able to show that we can actually drive the development of a major open source database and take over MySQL. We have done all that. And when I started with MariaDB, my friends told me that this is just a dream, you can't do it again.
Speaking about doing it again, you see, it was MySQL, you spent the daughter.
Yeah.
Then you sold it, become a venture capitalist and millionaire. And then you invented MariaDB, and there was MaxDB. And then you're running out of children.
Yeah. So that's why I have lots of animals, so we can start with the animals now.
Aha, so there's the solution of how we can repeat this cycle is going through animals.
Yeah, but the thing is that I don't need to repeat it, because with MySQL I did one major mistake. I didn't think about the future. I didn't think about the possibility of some entity owning it who wouldn't be open source friendly. So I didn't take precautions. With MariaDB, I created the MariaDB Foundation, who owns the repository of MariaDB. So that means that whatever happened to the commercial entity, MariaDB Corporation, the MariaDB code will always be open, always be available for anybody to develop upon, which is not MySQL. So I kind of fixed it. So I don't need to have more children for the database. And I'm one of those persons that instead of doing one company, selling it and then jumping to the next one and so on, I did something good, I'm sticking with it. So that's why I don't have a need to do a new fork.
It's interesting. So you're actually saying that your approach to those things changed during the years.
Yeah.
Right. And we're speaking about that, and if you can go back in time, what you would do with MySQL?
I would have created a foundation like we did with MariaDB now. That was the one thing I missed. The other thing is also that GPL is really a great license. But it's also restrictive that if you have a new entity who owns the copyright, you have a really hard time taking over if the entity disappears, because you can't earn business on that. But I still believe that GPL is the best license that exists for when you actively have control of it. But if you don't have control of it, you're outside, and something happened to the original authors, it's not a great license. So personally, I think that if I would have go back in time and do whatever I could, the one thing I should have done would have said that change the license in MySQL, said it's GPL, but after 5 years it becomes BSD. And that would have ensured that it would always be available, some company should always be able to develop it upon it, whatever happens, for whatever scenario.
Mm-hmm. And along the same lines, I'm not sure about the financial specific. You're at least the CTO of the MariaDB Corporation.
Yeah.
So it's one of the great successful examples of the company who basically does the open software.
Yeah.
And it's not huge like the Red Hat, which was sold to IBM and so on. What's the secret? What can you? Definitely not go into a secret. What can you recommend to one who would want to follow your steps and do something similar?
So you have to be consistent. People need to know where you are and trust, because the currency in open source is trust. If you have trust, people will come to join your project, want to work with you, want to be employed by you, because they know what to expect. And also the way how you treat people. I think that one of the successes with MySQL and also with MariaDB was that how we work with the community. We treat people like the way that we would like to be treated if we were in their position. Mm-hmm. And there are very few companies who does that. And I think that the success from MySQL comes just from that single statement. And so we were friendly with the community, we were never abusive, we were never telling people that you are using the wrong technology, we don't want to talk with you. We are all inclusive. And So that's more a philosophy. And also that's the philosophy of open source is that we want to have patches from the outside. We don't just want to keep things secret and hide it and then spring it up upon the world, because then we don't know, is this actually what the world wants? If we work with the community, the world will tell us that this is what we want, and we can deliver it.
Yes, and to be nice, it's a new trend in the community. So as you know, everybody is accepting the codes of conduct and so on and blah blah blah, and it's a good thing. But your company is, well, I'm touching this again. The question which one cannot have the too many opinions of. If you are the young person who is already a programmer,
yep,
and thinks of really contributing to the open source project.
Yep.
But it's the first steps. Let's say that our hypothetical person has a very little experience in actual open source. Of course, I expect the biased answer.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Which project should be or projects which would be the best to start with?
You need to start with something you know and understand, and I don't believe it's productive to just look at what are other people doing, that sounds interesting, and go there. Mm-hmm. So why MySQL originally was successful, and or the original product was that I was working at a company, and I noticed that all the programs we do, they're kind of similar, and there has to be a better way to do this. And then I come up with a better way to do that, but that could come after being working 1 year with the company. And so looking at my house, I have a system where you can automate the house, called Jira. It's very nice. It's really hard to configure for anybody who doesn't know programming.
Oh, no.
So looking at the problem and see that I could do this so much better and easier. If you think that, then you have you know what you should work on. But you first need to understand that I could do that better and think about how.
Nice. So, I guess I ran out of questions, by the way. I mean, we can continue for eternity, but still, thank you very much.
Thank you.